Hi, I'm Max Keiser, and this is the Keiser Report. I bet you're thinking about taking your shoe off right now and throwing it at somebody. Well, there's an index for that. Stacy, Herbert?
You knew my first headline, the Shoe Throwers Index. This is from The Economist, and they're trying to come up with an index that will help them gauge where the next Jasmine-type revolution might happen. As you see from the chart, Yemen is the #1 location in the Middle East. Libya, #2. 3 is Egypt, which is kind of bizarre since they are in the middle of a revolution.
And where in the list is Saudi Arabia? Because I think they're really ripe to explode in civil unrest and revolution. I'd like to see a revolution in Saudi Arabia. Where does that one rank?
Well, they're #8, but the shoe throwing has already started in Saudi Arabia, and it's coming from an unlikely place if you look at this next headline. Report, Saudis warned Obama not to humiliate Mubarak. So King Abdullah basically threw his shoe at Barack Obama on a telephone call on the 29th of January, where King Abdullah reportedly told President Obama not to humiliate Mubarak and warned that he would step in to bankroll Egypt if the U.S. withdrew its aid program worth $1.5 billion annually.
Yeah, well, bankroll Egypt with money he made from selling gasoline to Obama's constituency in the U.S.
Exactly, but the only reason why his family, his kingdom, is able to be worth $1 trillion is because the U.S. military, Obama is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military, they secure those oil rights for this elite group of 7,000 princes and princesses who defraud the rest of their population.
Yeah, he's obsequious. I don't know why. I mean, we thought it was just like a little bit of awkwardness where he bows in front of King Abdullah. Of course, why is he doing this? Now we know that Obama is really, court jester to King Abdullah.
Well, after this phone call that took place between Obama and King Abdullah, where King Abdullah threw his verbal shoe at Obama, the next headline reads, Saudi Arabia's King Abdullah passed away.
No.
This is from an Islamic paper. And apparently after the phone call, sources stated that King Abdullah was furious and then suffered a sudden heart attack. Doctors ran to his rescue, but were unable to save him. He was pronounced dead, but his death was not reported due to the sensitive conditions that exist in the region. The Saudi Arabian government will reject this claim, but the ball is in their court to prove he is alive.
No, it was just a little gas and oil.
But it could be, a planted headline that this is like, you throw too many shoes at us, King Abdullah, fake king. This is the headline that you will be reading. You're going to die of a sudden heart attack. It could be falling from a plane, from 30,000 feet in the air. Who knows? You're going to die some way.
What a stroppy little drama queen, that King Abdullah.
He's like that character in that TV show, I'm having a heart attack.
Like Fred Sanford from Sanford and Son. I'm coming, Elizabeth. That's King Abdullah.
So Saudi Arabia is #8 on this shoe throwing index, but this next headlines from WikiLeaks might suggest it should be a little bit higher up. WikiLeaks cables, Saudi Arabia cannot pump enough oil to keep a lid on prices. A U.S. diplomat convinced by a Saudi expert that reserves of the world's biggest oil exporter have been overstated by nearly 40%, or by 300 billion barrels of oil.
Yeah, they're lying. They're lying about the oil on the ground. We've been saying that for years. They haven't audited, from the outside anyway, the oil production. All the big major fields are in rapid decline. Saudi Arabia, Gawar, is saying, oh no, we don't have any problems. So OPEC is effectively dead. They cannot lower the price of oil anymore by flooding the market with oil, because they've hit peak oil, 2007, global peak oil. So now that whole foundation of power for Saudi Arabia is being taken away from the big sheikdoms and all the princes, and there are thousands of these frickin' princes all over the world. They pay billions to keep these guys rolling around in their Rolls Royces. For what? So that they can sell overpriced gas to American SUV drivers? Well, that's all over with. You got to get real jobs now. Guys, I suggest you apply down at your local McDonald's.
Well, this information transmitted in this WikiLeaks cable took place in November 2007 when Saad al-Husseini, a geologist and former head of exploration at the Saudi oil monopoly Aramco, He met with a U.S. diplomat. So this was during the Bush administration. Remember when Dick Cheney kept on flying over there to Saudi Arabia. And Sadat al-Husseini told them that Aramco's 12.5 million barrel a day capacity needed to keep a lid on prices could not be reached.
Yeah, they don't have the oil to pump. Now, this is going to be interesting going forward because America doesn't have the money to buy higher priced oil. China, however, does because China has all of America's money. They've got $3 trillion in reserves, so they can afford to pay up for oil and gas. The U.S., however, cannot. So this is part of the dynamics. And of course, the Saudis, who have been America's good buddy friend for years, will start, entertaining Hu Jintao more often. And Obama and the whole White House gang will be in the short bus trying to make their way down to the coast for a little R&R because they're freaking unemployed.
Well, I have another chart here to show you that the U.S. is not looking for a solution to this problem of Saudi Arabia running out of oil. R&D spending as share of sales. So this is for the U.S. corporations. And you see over on the left of this chart, the pharmaceuticals spends 18.7%. All the way on the right, down at the very bottom, energy spends less than 0.3% on research and development. And this includes research into conventional fuels such as ultra-deep water drilling and new oil refining techniques. So they're not looking for any other solution for our energy crisis coming up.
No, because there is no more oil to find. There's no more big fields to find. And they can find some oil trapped under 4 or 5 miles of rock and salt in the middle of an ocean somewhere. But the cost of taking it out is exorbitant and completely impractical. Or the tar sands in Canada, it's completely impractical. There's no price point that makes sense to take oil out of the tar sands of Canada. It costs more energy to get that oil out than you can energy burning it once you've gotten it out. So the whole dynamics of fossil fuel burning is finished. The entire globe runs on fossil fuel. And therefore, the peak credit that we saw in 2007, combined with peak oil that also occurred in 2007, mean that we've hit peak globalization, which means that populations around the world, whether it's Cairo, Tunis, Athens, Dublin, America, London, everyone's revolting because we've gone from a positive sum game of a fiat currency to a negative sum game of a lack of currency.
And so you see in the Middle East, all these dictators are fleeing with the wealth of the nation. They're already taking it out while these revolutions and shoe-throwing revolutions are building. But let's look over into the West and see where we're seeing the same thing in Egypt. So Omar Suleiman is another dictator in waiting for Mubarak. Here in the West, we have our financial dictators. And look at these headlines. Senior Lib Dem sacked for criticizing controversial deal for bankers. So this is a weird banking deal that George Osborne and the Tory and Lib Dem coalition created, Project Merlin. And under the deal with the industry, the heads of the taxpayer-backed high street banks will receive multi-million-pound pay and bonus packages for last year. The chancellor said it was time to move from retribution to recovery and agreed to water down laws which would have identified multi-million-pound bank traders. However, under the terms of the Project Merlin, the country's main high street banks have agreed to increase lending and provide funding for community projects in return for the government not vetoing their bonus programs.
Well, it's a classic hostage situation. The banks have the UK government hostage for ransom. The UK government has negotiated and appeased with terrorists. There's a two-tier strategy. They call terrorists fundamentalist, radical psychopaths who bomb buses or take down buildings. They won't talk to them. But when Barclays or HSBC or HBOS or Royal Bank of Scotland or Allied Irish Bank in Ireland, when they come into the government and talk with these people, they serve them tea. And they're worse terrorists. They kill more people and they have more casualties. I mean, we're talking about Sean Fitzpatrick, Anglo-Irish Bank, for example. He's up there with the worst terrorists of the last 100 years. You'd have to put him up there with Hitler and Mao and Stalin, Sean Fitzpatrick.
Max, you speak of the Irish bankers. They're in my final headline here. Ireland's Lenihan wants senior bank debt discounts. So Irish Finance Minister Brian Lenihan said the government is pressing for a substantial discount on $20 billion